Good afternoon, guys, and thanks a lot for having me on the show.
Oh,
Thanks for making
Sheldon,
time.
I tell you what, you need to go onto our social media stream at Channel Africa 1 to check out Sheldon's legendary fade.
Yeah.
It
He turned
is
around
brilliant.
at some stage, and I was like, oh, damn.
Oh my God, Sheldon, be honest. Did you do that yourself?
No, this was at one of the shops over the weekend.
It's looking fresh.
I love it.
Thank you very much. We have to represent, huh?
Yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely. Sheldon, let's talk about it. You've been hustling from the age of 12. Who was around you that inspired the culture of hustling? Was it circumstances? Did you see a parent, a friend? Who was it around you that inspired this culture of hustling and getting things done?
Yeah, no, thanks a lot for that. I think since the age of 12 years old, I can remember there was a time where both my parents were unemployed, and obviously I had to make do with what I have, which as a problem solver, it's in my genes to solve problems. I then came up with a solution as to save up my spending, which was 2 rand a day at the time, and decided to get go to the local cash and carry and buy a box of ice cream. I then use this ice cream to go door to door at the flats where we grew up, and I then knocked on the doors and selling ice creams. And you can imagine at this particular time I had a speech disorder, so I struggled to speak.
Oh, really?
But I had that boldness to just wanting to step out and see what's on the other side. And I think that's what started the entrepreneurial journey, until I saw an opportunity not to sell products, but now being able to sell a certain service, which was cutting hair. And I'm like, you know what, if I have a clipper, I will be able to cut X amount of customers in a day with one clipper. But learning the skill, it was so interesting because now I had to visit different barbers in my community and being able to see with the eye, and sometimes they would chase me away and I'll just return with a bottle of covering as a prize for the next lesson. And that was the simplest way for me to love something I love.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into barbering.
It's incredible because now you boast some over 50 stores across the country, and you started out on your stoop, what we would call in South Africa a stoop. And for those who aren't familiar with the term, it's really like a patio. I mean, patio sounds like a patio, right? No? A porch. There we go. Tell us about then the growth trajectory from there. From your porch, you started out, you learned rather from observing other barbers in your neighborhood, and now 50 plus stores.
Yes, thank you very much. So quite interesting enough, when I matriculated at school, I always dreamed of becoming a full-time barber, but obviously you don't have the resources and you don't have the know-how to do this. So fast forward around 2011, my cousin had an internet cafe, and I asked him if I could make use of his stoop to actually mimic a pop-up barber. So he agreed with the condition that I only come on weekends. And at that particular time, I was working at Standard Bank and always dreamed of becoming a full-time barber. Wow. And so I can remember all I had, guys, was just a clip and a chair and nothing else. And obviously a big speaker that just made a lot of noise.
Sheldon,
I was wondering why customers would prefer to actually come cut hair at my chair. And I saw customers returning week in, week out. What makes me so special? And I then visited a barber that's right across the road from me and saw what he's doing different. And I then realized that it was much more of a monetary transaction for that barber. I then figured out, you know what makes the difference was the relationship building element, which for me is so important. And this is how I built relationships with customers. I had a notebook and a pen, and after each and every customer, I would write down the name, the conversation, and this would be my way of when that person returns to sit on the chair, I would make reference to that.
Wow.
And that was my simplest way, because we all know that the haircut that looks fresh today like this won't last so many days, but it's how you make people feel about themselves. And I think that for me is much more than anything else. So moving from the stoop, I had a friend of mine that could also cut hair, and then I asked him if he can join me on the stoop. So we were both cutting hair on the stoop, and the layout of that center started noticing. We said, okay, you know what? We have to get away here because we've seen there's some commotion happening on the stoop. So not far away from where the stoop was, there was a small space. It's like a 30 square meter shop. And we decided, you know what, let us pursue this. So we spoke to the landlord at that particular space, and we asked him if we could utilize this space. And he agreed, and he told us, guys, there's no lease here. If you don't pay, you are out. So we said, okay, no problem. And we went ahead, we opened our very first store on the 3rd of September 2011. And when we opened, to our amazement, customers came out, they were supporting us. We got barbers from the community, upskilled them. But as a matter of fact, how we upskilled them was that we took them to the schools and to the old age homes to actually go get haircuts. But what was so interesting enough was that we enjoyed going out to the old age homes so much that we then decided to name the old age homes after them so we then decided to name the barbershops after the old people because they are actually legends of our community. And that's where the name Legends Barber actually comes from.
What an interesting story. I have goosebumps as you're talking, by the way. Everything is just so significant how the story panned out. It's a story of passion, really.
Absolutely. And I wish we had all the time in the world to chat about everything. And I definitely want us to continue this conversation. But
Sheldon, can you give us a few more minutes after our business news? All right.
Oh, we'd love that. Because Sheldon and me, I have a very personal question to ask. I go to the Legends Barber, right, quite a few times, but there are certain practices that I've noticed there. You know how your barbers are very finicky about sticking to one specific spot for like 10 minutes. I don't know where that came from. I don't know if you taught them this.
I call it precision.
You call it precision? Yeah. Listen, but Sheldon is going to tell us all about it in a couple of minutes' time. And then I also want to find out the chair situation. When you're sitting in a Legends chair, they rotate you in a specific way, right? I think they also plan it. It's like a pattern.
Okay.
You're not allowed to see your face until towards the end.
Ta-da!
Which I am like, why are we doing this? The drama, I love it, but my goodness me. Anyway, Sheldon is going to tell us all about the inspiration behind it, and then also the color schemes. You go to a legendary barbershop, it's all black and a touch of white, and a lot of people seem to love that. But we'll continue this conversation with Sheldon in a couple of minutes' time, just after our sports news with Musibudi Makura.
I wonder if Musibudi gets her haircut at Legends. Musibudi?
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
A very good afternoon from the sports desk. What a good question, Nompumelelo. Yes, I do get my hair cut at Legends. I used to use the branch in Florida, and then I unfortunately had to move. So there's now a branch in the north. What's that mall again? Northgate Mall. So that's where I get my hair cut at the Legends Barber.
It's looking
fresh.
Sheldon.
All right, we'll start our sports bulletin with a story, guys. So Pyramids FC head coach Krunoslav Jusic has appraised his side's resilience as well as character after a dramatic 1-1 draw with Mamelodi Sundowns in the first leg of the 2024-2025 Total Energies CAF Champions League final in the capital city Pretoria over the weekend. So while lead Al-Kati's stoppage time header salvaged a crucial draw for the Egyptian side after Lucas Ribeiro Costa had given the South Africans lead in the second half at Loftus Versfeld on Saturday. So the late equaliser was a reward, with the Croatian coach also saying that the spirit of his players has shown all season. He also added that Al-Kati's goal is a reward for his champion team following a great season they've had both locally, or rather on the local front, as well as on the continental competition. The coach also, by the way, took over as the Pyramids head coach during the course of the season, has overseen a strong run to the club's first ever appearance in the CAF Champions League League final. He pointed as well to the team's consistency in battling back from adversity as a sign of their growth. The second leg will be played this coming Sunday at the Air Defence Stadium in Cairo, Egypt. Pyramids needing to win this game, needing to score goals alongside Mamelodi Sundowns if they are to win their first ever continental CAF Champions League title. In tennis news now, Emma Raducanu battled through illness to win on her French Open return and set up a second round meeting with defending champion Iga Swiatek. Now, the British number 2 earned a 7-5, 4-6, 6-3 victory against China's Zhang Xinyu, despite needing to see a doctor on court towards the end of the first set. Raducanu, ranked 41st in the world, is making only her second appearance at Roland Garros after missing the 2 tournaments with injury. Now, Raducanu will now focus on just how to cause an upset against 4-time French Open champion Swiatek, who cruised past Slovakia's Rebecca Samkova 6-3 and 6-3 in her first match at this year's competition. Onto this now, Mohammed bin Sulayem will stand for a second 4-year term as the FIA president in December, saying he would also welcome any rival candidate and that he is on a mission to grow motorsport, is also making Formula One's governing body much stronger. Now, speaking to Reuters at the Monaco Grand Prix over the weekend, the Emirati said he had taken the decision, which was widely assumed after conferring with members of the International Automobile Federation. He also said he was proud of what had been achieved under his mandate and also saw no reason to do anything differently the second time around. Now, the Emirati said he wanted to keep growing motorsport to make the FIA stronger. Now, he also said this was an ambition of his and will continue to grow motorsport. He also suggested the FIA, which ultimately owns the Formula One Championship, although the long-term commercial rights are held by Liberty Media, had also been neglected. Ben Sulayem's first term had been marked by controversy since he was elected in 2021. There also has been battles with Liberty Media over commercial matters, as well as accusation of sexism, and he also angered drivers in both rallying as well as Formula One by clamping down on swearing with heavy fines. On to this now. Athletics South Africa's Athletes Commission chairperson Hendrik Mokhanyetsi says the sport's future looks promising following a strong showing of 10 South African athletes at the Diamond League meet in Rabat, Morocco over the weekend. Now, Mokhanyetsi believes ASA is making the right strides ahead of the World Senior Championships in Tokyo, Japan in September of this year. Akani Simbeni, Prudence Khodiso, as well as Zagiti Nene also all delivered standout performances in Morocco. Simbeni claiming victory in the 100-meter event in 9.95 seconds. Khodiso finishing in second in the women's 800-meter in a time of 1 minute 57.52 seconds. And Nana also securing a second place finish in the men's 400-meter in a time of 44.46 seconds.
I think the overall performance of our athletes shows the continuity the athletes that are making on the world stage, and also put the federation on the upper level in compared to where we're coming from and what we are developing to achieve. Athletes are being exposed to such competitions so that they explore their talent. And as a federation, that's our responsibility that we have been doing, creating a conducive environment for the athletes to go and perform and showcase their talent. So,
Mokhanyetsi also says the athletes represented the country with pride and also assured the federation will have to do more to offer in track and field.
Our athletes has put up some strong show across the multiple events, proving their competitiveness on the global stage. Looking at how they performed at Rabat, we are very excited as a federation, and I believe that people who love athletics also will go to their TVs and see what's happening in terms of athletics. The athletes have raised the flag very high, and we are very excited as Athletics South Africa.
For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Zochitika ndi madaphiri kamlondola wa zochitika pena paliponse.
Aphungu a nyumba ya malamulo mu dziko la Malawi akuchita zokambirana zawo pa zinthu zosiyanasiyana pambuyo pa nyumbayi kutsegulidwa masiku apitawo, ndipo kondani nyamasa ukali nafe pompano chiyambireni aphungu akukambirana masiku apitawo ndi zovuta ziti zomwe zachitika mu nyumba imeneyi ya malamulo.
Ndingathe kunena kuti state of national address imene a president Dr. Lazarus Chakwera akhala kuipereka mnyumba ya malamulo imeneyi idautsa mpungwepungwe kwambiri nyumbayi, chifukwa pofika panopa mene ndikuyankhula pano ndiye kuti munafuna kubuka ndewu mnyumbayi. Leader of the house olemekezeka Richard Kimwendo Banda kuyimirira kuyankha koma mopsa mtima zimene amayankhula phungu oyimira ku Blantyre City South East Pasama Suleiman kunena kuti sona imene adapereka president pa 14 February ikuonetsa kuti palibe chilichonse cha zero chimene chidaperekedwa mu sona imeneyi, akuti imene ayichotse.
Zochitika ndi madaphiri lolemba mpaka lachisanu pa nthawi ya 7 koloko kufikira 8 koloko madzulo pa Channel Africa. We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
It's 37 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Buntle Headbush has your latest in business.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Good afternoon. The race to lead Africa's top development finance institute is coming to an end this week as the African Development Bank meets in the Ivory Coast to pick a new president on May 29. Analysts say this comes at a time when the continent's biggest multilateral lender faces unprecedented challenges from funding cuts by the United States government. Elizabeth Mapari has more.
The United States federal government wants to cut $555 million in funding to the African Development Bank and its African Development Fund, which offers low-priced financing to the continent's poor nations. The founder of Africa-focused consultancy Development Reimagine says this is going to be a major task and effectively the new president's first test. The annual gathering of heads of state and finance officials taking place this year in the Ivorian city of Abidjan is one of the biggest finance meetings on the continent. Africa's largest development finance institution is owned by 54 African states and G7 nations like the US and Japan.
An expert in South Africa's information and communication technology sector says although internet provided by Starlink can be quicker and more accessible in less developed areas, it remains very expensive. These comments by a multimedia and television lecturer at the Durban University of Technology, Nompumelelo Ngubeni, comes after South Africa's Parliament called on Communications and Digital Technologies Minister Solly Malatsi to appear over the newly gazetted ICT policy directive. Malatsi has proposed policy changes that may let Starlink bypass the 30% black ownership rule. Starlink owner, South African-born billionaire Elon Musk, recently told a gathering in Saudi Arabia that his company is prevented from operating in the country because of the color of his skin. Zondi explained how Starlink differs from other internet providers.
Starlink provides low orbit satellites, but they orbit closer to the Earth, apart from, or rather, which differentiates them from what you're familiar with, which are satellites that are a bit further from the Earth. What you then would need with Starlink is a satellite dish, pretty much similar to what you use for your TV that you install on your roof, and that then would allow for low latency, right? And which would then allow for fast internet access.
South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa says U.S. President Donald Trump will attend the G20 Leaders Summit in Johannesburg later this year. This comes after President Ramaphosa and a South African delegation met with Trump in Washington last week. Tabisa Luhoko has more.
President Ramaphosa has acknowledged in his weekly letter to the nations that while there was a need to correct a false claim of white genocide. The overarching goal of his engagement was to deepen a strategic economic partnership with the US, who is the country's second largest trading partner. The presidency is pleased with the meeting, saying the meeting established a basis for great engagement and cooperation. The president has further extended an invitation to President Trump to send a government and business delegation to South Africa to explore opportunities for deepening investment and trade.
Kenya's Finance Minister John Mbadi says Kenya's government plans to sell more of its shareholding in telecom operator Safaricom. The government aims to raise $1.16 billion in the 2025-26 financial year through the sale of stakes in companies it has shares in, including selling more of its ownership in Safaricom. At present, the government owns a 35% stake in the operator after it sold a 25% stake in it via an initial public offering in 2008. US President Donald Trump says he's granted the European Union another month to conclude a trade deal and avert the imposition of new sanctions. He threatened on Friday to impose taxes of 50% on European imports, but following a telephone call with the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, Trump said he'd agree to extend the deadline for negotiations until July the 9th. The BBC's Katie Silver has the details.
There does seem to be some progress. Von der Leyen, for her part, said that it was a good phone call with President Trump. He posted on social media saying that it was a privilege to extend the deadline. And for President Trump, though, the issue is that this trading relationship with the EU has been a long-term bugbear. He thinks it's unfair. Now, according to US government figures, last year the US bought almost double from the EU compared to what it sold. And Trump has specifically raised concerns when it comes to trade in products like cars and agricultural goods.
Now for a look at our afternoon financial indicators, $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1 naira 589. In Botswana, it's at 13 pula 30. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 22. And in Zambia, it's at 27 kwacha 46. Moving on to the BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 64. Russia, 79 rubles 41. India, it's at 85 rupees 10. China, 7 yuan 19, and in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 80 cents. $1 is at 73 pence to the British pound and 87 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,326 and platinum at $1,086 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $65.16 a barrel. And those are your business news at this hour. For any business stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Bontle Hetbush.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Connecting Africa to the world. The Upside with Nompumelelo Ngubeni and Tebogo Lekhuleni. Bringing you Africa's brightest ideas and untold stories.
All right, it is 15 minutes to 3 Central African time. But we are speaking to the legendary. I mean, I want to call him legendary as well.
He is legendary.
He is legendary. It's Sheldon Tatchell, and he is the founder of Legends Barber, one of the most successful barber brands in the country. Certainly, without a shadow of a doubt. In Africa,
Africa's number one.
In Africa. Oh, my goodness, sorry for downplaying that, Sheldon. You were going to tell us about your experience. You were, in fact, telling us about your experience.
So before I get into that, Sheldon, about how they go about cutting the hair and what the thought process was behind it, and then also the design, the layout of the Legend Barbershops. Franchising, was that always part of the plan? Because it's one thing to say, okay, well, we've got a fantastic barbershop here. Everyone seems to be coming to our place and it's very successful. It's another level to then start thinking franchising. Was this part of the plan?
Yes, no, thank you. Thank you very much for the question. I think franchising was never part of the plan. I think growing was part of the plan because we always wanted to expand and grow. And obviously, just looking at the goals. So we closed down shop in 2011 and we relaunched 2014. And when we relaunched, the goal was to open 5 stores in 5 years. And with this, I had this whole idea in mind that I want to have stores in different regions in South Africa. And obviously, we saw the demand increase so much that we then decided to see what are the alternative ways in looking at how we can scale our business. So franchising came about. A friend of mine actually approached me, a guy by the name of Ricky Rick, and he asked me, would I be interested in doing a partnership? And so I said, no, I wouldn't want to do any partnership because I had some bad experiences. And he said, you know what, rather let's look at franchising. And I'd done some due diligence on franchising. And it just makes sense at that particular moment because I was unable to manage all these stores at the same time. So Sheldon is unable to visit these stores and ensure that the consistency across all board is exactly the same. So then I looked at franchising as a viable solution. So then we started franchising with our 10th store. So Ricky Rick was our very first franchisee back in 2019. And I think franchising just helped in terms of the management aspect of our business, because we know that if somebody is invested in the growth of your business, they would want to see it grow. And I think that's what franchising has afforded us to do, being able to have like-minded people like Sheldon, being able to go across all stores and just having that swing equity in their business. So yeah, franchising has definitely helped us tremendously, and it's been an amazing journey. And to your point, we've managed to grow over 75 stores in 5 African countries, which is South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Lesotho, Zambia. Yeah, so that's where we're based.
And talk to us about then, I'm sure you have desires and certainly plans of expanding even further. Talk to us about your expansion plans.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for your question. I think the demand continues to come in from across the world, and I think it's been really amazing, because if you look at the story of Legends, it is really unfounded because nobody actually makes a franchise out of a service business like a barbershop. There's not much. There's not much that you can say, there's a service business that there's actually franchise, because I think that's one major thing that you can't control is service. Right. You understand? And I think based on people's experiences in different locations, they were like, you know what, we would like for Legends to come in this country or in that country. So there is plans for us to expand. We are looking at Africa as our home for now. We are in love with the different countries in Africa, and we're looking at how are we able to scale in these different countries. But the one thing is not only that. I mean, if you look at Africa as a nutshell, and you say that what problems do we face within Africa, and we're approaching Youth Month right now. Did you know that Africa has such a big unemployment ratio compared to the other countries in Europe or in Australia or in Asia, that Africa is struggling tremendously with youth unemployment rate? And I definitely think that us as a business can definitely play a role in reducing the youth unemployment rate. And how we do this is through our Training and Development Academy, where we can upskill local barbers from the community. You don't need a skill to learn how to cut hair. You don't need anything. You can just come, and with the right attitude, we take you on board, and we are able to show you the ropes of what it is actually to become a barber. And I think that's exactly our drive and our purpose right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so exciting, Sheldon. So I'm guessing then during this training process, this is where you then guide the barbers on how they go about cutting a client's hair. And there's a unique way that you do it. You go to any barbershop, Legends Barbershop, there's a specific way that they rotate you. There's a specific way that they, stick to one particular part of your head for 10 minutes. Walk us through that line of thinking about this precision or this precise way of cutting that almost every single Legends barber is using at the moment.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. And it has a lot to do with our Training and Development Academy. So our Training and Development Academy has certain syllables in place where they upskill the barbers. So it's something that we came up with as a business to actually reinvest within not only our staff, but also in the next generation of barbers. And that's the reason why at our training centers, when you go there, you see everyone doing the same thing. And it's a matter of being able to show the guys a certain way of doing things that will elevate and enhance the certain style that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Like, for example, at our Training Development Academy, you see, the skill is one element, and it's something that we're quite big on. We're always looking at what are the things that we can work on, what are the elements that we can improve, what are the styles that's coming out, which are the products that we can test within our Training and Development Academy.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that I'm much more passionate about anything else is being able to help these youngsters, especially giving them the soft skills necessary to go out into the world and become better men and women for our society, because we all know we need that, you understand? We need people to live the certain way of doing things. And as we continue to make a difference within their lives, they are able to pass on the baton to the next generation.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly where we are. The service and the skill is definitely up there, but we see the person behind that's doing the skill itself. And those are the type of people that we love to empower and see their well-being is our priority.
I love that, you are wanting to pay it forward. I know that there's also a big community that you have created, in terms of a support base, but also the community that influences people to come on board and be customers of Legends. How has the engagement of celebrities or big names, also encouraged the growth of Legends?
Oh, thank you very much. So quite interesting was that I was just sharing a story with you quickly. So I was visiting the Africa CEO Forum 2 weeks ago, where it's quite a popular forum, and I bumped into a guy by the name of Davido. If you know Davido.
Of course.
So many years ago, we done a video at our second store, which is called The Coolest Kid in Africa. You can have a look at it on YouTube. And I bumped into him and I said, can you remember this was like 8 years ago where this video was shot, and can you see how many views it has? And I think the celebrity influence has definitely rubbed off Legends as well, because now Legends is quite well known in terms of with these celebrities in spaces where people actually say, you know what, these are the barbers for your trusted celebrities, whether it's your soccer players, whether it's your artists, whoever it is, these are the trusted barbers to go to. So if they can trust these barbers, then it's definitely reputable. So I definitely think that they have definitely contributed tremendously in the course of our journey, and we're just really grateful to have them do so, because for them, they see the bigger picture behind what we're doing.
Sure.
And then, Sheldon, I must ask, did you go to Botswana specifically because of William Lust KRM?
No, not really. I actually met William in South Africa, and William, the first time I bumped into him, such a serious guy, and I'm like, oh, you look different on social media. No, but an amazing guy. I mean, like, he's our brand ambassador, and he's also been one of the people that's been promoting us. And shout out to him, man. He just does it effortlessly without saying a word, and he's that guy.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Sheldon, to a young boy who potentially has a speech impediment, a learning impediment, whatever it is, from an Eldos or equivalent on the African continent, what would you say, having gone through your own journey and with 2020 vision now, what would you say to that young man, especially in a time where young boys are ignored?
Yes. So there's definitely a couple of things that I'll share, but I think one of the main important things that has helped me with my journey is being able to use certain verses within the Bible that actually has encouraged me through certain trials that I've gone through. Like you talk about the time when I struggled to speak, when I had a speech impediment. There was a teacher that actually approached me and shared this verse with me in Philippians 4, verse 13, that says, I can do all things to Christ who strengthens me. And that particular verse, so whenever I'm doing something, I'm reminded of that verse, that I can do anything. And it just gives me the confidence to, no matter what I do, I can definitely achieve the level of excellence that I want to achieve and place this upon myself. So for any kid that is going through whatever you're going through, just know that you can achieve it. There is possibility that you might be faced with failure, with rejection, with all of these things of this world, but it is possible to achieve what Sheldon has achieved. And I'm a testimony of that.
Oh, Sheldon, you are an absolute legend yourself. Thank you so much for your time and for inspiring so many. And we wish you nothing but success and growth as you expand into Africa and beyond. Thank you so much for your time.
All the best.
Thank you very much, guys, and thanks for having me on the show.
Cheers, Sheldon.
What a legendary man.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Legends Barber owner Sheldon Tatchell, and just taking us through his journey, where it all began and where it is right now.
75 stores deep.
75 stores